Even when I was in a trap house, drugged out of my mind, I've always had this vision that God has something for me. It's never over till you're dead. You can, man. I've been in a position where I felt like my life was over a million times, and as long as you don't give up, you can find peace anywhere. I found peace in a cell. It sounds crazy, but I've had more peace in a prison cell than sometimes out. If you get back in touch with God, He can do things that you never even imagined, and just you could get your kids back. I don't know where that came from, but like if you're worried about your kids or whatever, I promise you can get them back no matter what it looks like. I got my kids back against all odds and hopes, and just never. If you don't give, you can't fail unless you give up. If you don't give up, you can never.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the UTL Trucking Education Hub podcast. I'm your host, Tamaris Massengale. If you're new here, this is where we have real conversations with real people who are creating real opportunities in transportation industry. So before we get started, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on those notifications so you never miss an episode. Now let's get into today's trucking truth. A lot of people are told what they can't do. They're told their past is too big. They're told they've made too many mistakes. They're told certain opportunities just aren't meant for them. But what happens when you stop focusing on the barriers and start focusing on the possibilities? What happens when you discover an industry where relationships, knowledge, and determination can open doors that people told you would never exist? Today's guest has built a platform around helping people see opportunities where others see obstacles. He's passionate about entrepreneurship, economic empowerment, and showing undeserved communities that there are legitimate pathways to business ownership and financial freedom. And one of those pathways just happens to be freight brokering. Today, we're talking about second chances, entrepreneurship, freight brokering, and why your current situation doesn't have to dictate your future. Joining us today, is Nathan Richard, better known as the Felon Entrepreneur. Nathan is on a mission to educate, empower, and equip people with the knowledge they need to create opportunities for themselves through business, transportation industry, and so much more. If you've ever felt like you're starting behind the starting line, this conversation is definitely for you. So sit back, lean in. Let's get to the trucking truth. Nathan, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Yay. I'm so happy to be here. I love the introduction. Something that stuck out to me was the second chances, like empowering people. Man, this is an amazing industry. Trucking just in general. I'm super excited to be here and that you even have me as a guest. So I'm just excited to see what happens right here and what we could do for, help some people out here, help your community out here with just showing them what we could do, what they could do themselves with freight brokering, trucking, and the whole entire industry. So I just appreciate you inviting me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, let's jump right on in. Who is Nathan Richard and how did the Felon Entrepreneur brand begin?
Well, Nathan Richard is my real name, is my first and middle name. I don't like to really share my last name because, the bigger I get, death threats and all kinds of crazy stuff. Believe it or not, I'm just trying to help people. But Nathan Richard, that's my name. You already know. That's my name. The Felon Entrepreneur came out. I've been hustling since I was a kid. Started with one of the first things I could think of was selling Pokemon cards. So when I was in school,
Wow, you took it.
I was signing people up for a reoccurring revenue, monthly MRR, monthly reoccurring revenue in school. And I was taking the Pokemon cards and I was photocopying them on paper and then writing stats about them. Then I was going in and pass them out every week to the kids and they would pay me $1 or whatever the case may be. And that's the first beginning of my entrepreneur journey. But the Felon Entrepreneur came out when I first jumped out on social media. I started calling myself, it was next level reentry because I just wanted to, I didn't even know where the path was going to come from, but I know that, I've done a nice amount of time in prison, probably about 15 years altogether. And I started a car dealership. And, the moment I started a car dealership, I felt validated as a entrepreneur. So I changed the name to Felon Entrepreneur. And then as the years went by, it just morphed into, I've just taken people on my entire journey. And,
Yeah.
at the moment, freight brokering is a huge part of my journey. I've learned a lot, and I just know it's a skill that I could help people out. So I've kind of built my brand around entrepreneurship, but freight brokering is definitely a cog in the wheel, and
Yeah.
that's kind of how the brand came.
Wow. You took me back with the Pokemon. I
Yeah,
used to
I
love
bet.
Pokemon.
I still do. Me and my son get Pokemon cards all the time. You can't
Really?
really find them
It's
now,
hard
though.
to
Yeah,
find them. It's so
I was
hard to
about to
find
say
them.
you got to find like randomly, like I'll be at Dollar General and they'll just get a shipment or something. But yeah, but we still collect Pokemon cards. I love Pokemon.
Wow, wow. Well, how about explaining to us some of the challenges that you faced while you were building your brand? Oh, why?
Wow, challenges. Well, the first one came when I started, I started this car dealership. I had a friend who was this is the beginning of the journey. So I get out of prison, I fix my credit, I get out of prison, and I get a business loan. And I put all the money, it was my first business loan was $15,000. And I take the $15,000, I drop it all in this car dealership. And the only reason I did it is because I had another buddy of mine who actually followed me on TikTok. And he was like, I have a car dealership. I'm a felon. You could do it too. And I'm going to help you out. So I just dropped all this money into a car dealership. And in Florida, you have to have a brick and mortar space. You can't have, it can't just be like online. You actually have to have a store. And then
Right,
you have to have the certain signage, and there's got to be amount of parking spots, and then there's all these licenses and stuff like that. So I took this $15,000, I dropped it all into it, and then you could apply for your license. So you got to have the store. A specter comes out. It's a bunch of different stuff, and then you could actually get the apply for the license. So I'm thinking my buddy's a felon. I could do it too. He never helped me, just for the record. Yeah, he said he was going to help me, never did, but whatever. Neither here nor
that's
there.
a
I did it all
shocker.
myself. Yeah. I figured it out. I've had to drive to different counties to get copies of my criminal records, certified copies. I drove to Hernando County, Hillsborough, and I'm living in Panama City at the time. So
Mhm.
it was a lot of different logistics. Get the signs, get all the stuff, branding, everything, and they denied the license. And I was dead broke.
Whoa.
And that's the beginning of the Felon Entrepreneur. And I was distraught. And that was like one of the huge challenges that I had faced along with me getting out. It was hard to find a place to live, of course, because I'm a
Yeah.
felon. And I got a few different places. Then the owners were selling the houses, and it was just a lot. But mainly starting out with that car dealership and losing 15 grand and going dead broke. I had quit my job and everything, so I like quit my job to go all in on this car dealership, and I went totally dead broke. And I'm still trying to recover from that initial blow.
Wow.
And that was about almost 4 years ago. I'm still trying to recover. Complete transparency. I'm getting sued by the same bank that, I dropped all that on my YouTube too, but I'm getting sued by the bank that initially gave me that card. And I don't blame them. Like, I understand, but I'm going through court stuff and just with that saying, so I'm still trying to recover. I haven't actually physically,
Yeah.
financially, or mentally, for that matter, recovered, but I'm here. I'm bringing people through it, and I haven't stopped. I've always pivoted into other challenges. I have not took one loss since I've been out. They've all been lessons. I've literally stacked skill upon skill upon skill, and it does. And like, even though I lost all that money, I learned so much through that process, not only about people, about relationships and branding and websites, and it's just been able to translate into all the other aspects of my life. So I'm actually grateful that that happened. And once I come out of it and I'm on top, it's gonna be it's part of my testimony.
Absolutely. I love how you ended that last statement is that you never actually had a loss. You turned that goal into a learning. And I believe that is very important, especially for our brothers and sisters that are coming home. You have to understand that you're literally stepping into a new world. You know what I'm saying? I love sci-fi movies and I think I love it so much is because it's depicting of my life, how you believe what you're seeing, but what you're seeing is not believable, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So, no matter how much time, like for me, my time was less than a year, you know what I'm saying? But considering I was a person my entire life that did what I was supposed to do and never got in trouble, I always preached about staying, clean. And then one moment turned into a bad decision that led me to take, a 6-month federally funded vacation, as I like to call it. But even at that short stint of time, it was a lot of changes that were made. You know what I'm saying? So I can imagine anyone that has done a long period of time that it's challenging, especially when you're coming home and for those that my heart go out to that they don't really have the support. Everyone talks about they want to help you or they're going to help you, then you're out and then everyone goes to. You know what I'm saying? So it's challenging finding those resources that are actually, they advertise having those resources, but really when you get out and you tap into them, then oh, they don't have any more funds, or oh, you have to jump over here and do that. So you have to have investments emotionally in yourself to just give yourself to that opportunity to fail and not let it take you all the way out. You have to understand that you're going to bump your head a couple of times, but that doesn't mean that you're a loser or that you can't do it. You just have to keep getting back up. So with that being stated, I'm just curious to find out. I mean, you and I've already spoken about this, but I'd like for you to elaborate a little more about why you're so passionate about supporting the underserved communities and the felony community, why you're so passionate about it.
I consider myself a case study. So when I was locked up, I had I literally had these visions and I did not I wanted to get out. I didn't know anything about Instagram or anything at the time. I just knew that I wanted to document my journey from when I get out because I've had visions of just being a man of God, of success my whole life. Even when I was in a trap house, drugged out of my mind, I've always had this vision that like God has something for me and I know like success.
Right.
So while I'm in prison, I'm going through, I'm having visions of everything that's going on.
Yeah.
And he's showing me like helping people. And I wanted to get out and like document my journey the whole way. And so I would like write stuff down. And I wanted to be like the guy that gets out and becomes extremely successful, not for like me being successful
Yeah.
just in general, but I just want to show like it is possible because
Yeah.
I got no parents. My mom died when I was in prison. I've never had a father. I've been homeless, drug addict, alcoholic, you name it. I got out within 6 months. I had full custody of my son. I started living in an RV when I got out.
Yeah.
I jumped on a bike. I rode my bike to all these classes to get my son because the mother of my child I lost custody of him 2 weeks before I got out of prison. So I just got out. I
Wow.
had nothing. I put myself into a faith based halfway house
That's
originally. I just wanted to switch what just my entire life. I didn't want to go back to the same place I've been at. And so I go to the faith based halfway house, put myself in there and I get a bike. Church donates me a bike and I ride this bike to all these appointments, jobs, name it. And I wasn't documenting it at the time. Eventually got to a spot where I started on TikTok documenting it, but I've always wanted to reach back and pull people up because not only I like my social media is a ministry to me,
Yes.
even though it may not seem like a ministry. Like I'm not on there preaching Jesus, but I want to show people Jesus by my actions and my life rather than what I say. And that's been my whole goal. So
Yeah.
I try to, I do get sidetracked a lot. I put, secular music and stuff, but I know what goes like. You gotta, you gotta sometimes run the line with the social media
Yeah.
stuff because if you
Yeah.
just talk Jesus and stuff like that, it's not gonna work. So you gotta
Yeah.
kind of ride
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
line.
And I feel you. I'm the same way. I feel
Yeah,
you. Yes. I
yeah. And
feel you.
sometimes
I
it
feel
is
you.
kind of contradictory, but I've always kept the brand. I've never sold out, and I just want to reach back
Yeah.
and and give it all. I just want to reach back and help people out of that situation, and that's my ministry for
Yeah.
people in prison. I have a heart for them. I'm doing prison ministry out here. I was going into the prisons. I ended up getting kicked out of the prisons because I actually dropped a reel and it went viral, and they seen the reel and it was talking about some stuff in prison that I probably shouldn't have been talking about. I didn't really realize, I didn't say nothing bad,
Yeah.
but kind of like labeled me like an enemy because I was like, I'm against some of the policies there, and I was
Yeah.
online and I was telling people about the policy that
Yeah.
I was against, and they seen me as like an enemy of the prison, so they kicked me out of the prisons. But that's why I want to reach back. I want to reach back because I know if I could do it, if I could do it, you could do it, anybody could do it, and that's kind of like where I'm at. I look at myself as like a case study.
Yeah. Well, man, that's powerful. That's powerful, and I, I'm so glad that you opened up the door for that conversation because I too struggle with that, and that's why my presence hasn't been so strong on social media because for a while I was struggling with like, okay, God, I know I have to do this for the quote unquote algorithm in order for it to actually be pushed out to the people that need to find me.
Mhm.
But then it's like, okay, that's not what I represent. You know what I'm saying? But God speaks about in his word how, you have to you have to be in this world. You know what I'm saying? He knows you.
Yeah,
That's why the word of God said he's coming back for our hearts. You know what I'm saying? Because what in your heart is what you're going to actually represent and what you're going to see. So that's just like working a regular 9 to 5. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna be in there with unsaved people that's gonna do worldly things, but you gotta take care of your family. You know what I'm saying? So it's
100%.
not you being contradicting unless you're finding yourself enjoying it and it's superseding what your purpose is to God. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's what the Holy Spirit had to reveal to me is that listen, I, people are going to see my fruit through you by your action. What are you going to do when you have this platform and an opportunity presents itself? I talk about Jesus all day, every day. Don't look at
Okay.
if you don't like it, scroll by. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause
Yeah.
there's billions of people across this globe that they're looking for something. They don't know what that something is. And when they find that something, then that's when they connect. And so that's all I'm responsible for doing is representing God as much as possible. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm encased in flesh, so I'm always going to make mistakes. You know what I'm saying? But to the best of my ability. And I'm very transparent. That's why I talked about going to prison at almost 50 years old and losing everything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like living on my mother's, day bed, you know what I'm saying, at 50 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm very transparent. Why? Because I'm no different than the next person. The only difference is every day I choose Jesus. Every day. I could choose to keep going down this path or I could choose Jesus and I'm choosing him. So
Yeah.
that pathway is not going to be any different. We're not going through nothing that nobody else is going through. The only difference is we know we're going to come out on the other end because that's God's word and it'll never lie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But see what happens like when you get me talking, I
Yeah,
get
that's
on a whole
good, that's
tangent.
good. Yeah. Yo, that's all, man. God's been good. God, like I'm literally, if God, the whole entrepreneur journey and everything, God has literally made everything connect, like we were talking about before.
Yeah,
I couldn't even with the freight broker. There's been loads that God has literally blessed the load. Stuff happened, and I made it through. Like, yeah, if God wasn't in it, it doesn't matter what it is, it wouldn't have worked. And I
yeah,
thoroughly believe that any business that business is a spiritual game in itself.
it is. It is.
Mhm.
It is. And you have to choose what spirit you're going to entertain because we
Yeah, I
we
guess.
were
Yeah,
designed to be led by something, you know what I'm saying? So you
yeah.
just gotta choose what that something's gonna be. Is it gonna be the way of the world, which leads to destruction, or is it gonna be God's way? Where at the end of the day, when your soul departs from this flesh, you know where it's going. When you're in the world, you have no idea. So I'm never ashamed to talk about him out and open, and I'm never ashamed to talk about and point out my mistakes because that's what makes us unique. You know what I'm saying? I love the trucking industry. I love to help people. I love to support. You know, my journey has been very interesting over the last 2 years, and I am finding out again. I'll be 50 in November. At 50 years old, I have lived in my own bubble. When it comes to what really takes place in this world, when it comes to relationships and friends. And when I did that short period of time, it was like a veil was removed where I really saw everyone's true purpose and meaning in my life. So that's a great segue to venture in for you, just for you to talk about what do you think are some of the major factors and struggles that reentry persons are visiting when they come back?
I think that the major struggle, and what I've seen in my own life was definitely housing because you get out. people don't want to give you a house or whatever because you have felonies on your record, and it's almost the same with the jobs. Although they're more lenient these days, the jobs are opening up, but a lot of homeowners, they immediately want to run your credit.
Yeah.
This is stuff I was running into. They want to run your credit when you first get out, and a lot of times you don't even have credit when you get out, or you've
Right.
messed up your credit.
Right.
You banged up your credit. You was doing crazy stuff, and so finding housing and not having a support system, not having
Right.
family, yeah, and then also untreated addiction and alcoholism has been a
Mm.
major factor because and I think that's honestly more serious than the housing and everything, although it may seem like it's not. But because when you get locked up, for the most part, you're cut off. Now, there's drugs and everything in prison. Don't get it twisted, but
Yeah.
you could almost not do them when you're in there because it's like a different environment. So you're
Yeah.
like, but you don't realize that you have these addictions and everything still, they're just laying dormant. So
Right.
when you get out and now you're free, and you got, if you're a guy, you got women, hitting you up, and then if you're a girl, you got you. So you got all these different people
Yeah.
coming at you. Automatically, you get into a relationship or whatever. Then all their baggage comes on you, and they got addictions, whether it be vaping. I see it all the time. I deal with people getting out of prison. One of my best friends, he has a few transitional houses, and
Yeah.
it's always the same thing. The guy gets out. It's a man's, transitional house. He
Yeah.
gets out. He's doing good. He meets a woman.
Yep.
The woman does,
The
and
life.
all
The life.
what? Yeah. I'll say, hey, so it normally starts with like a vape,
Yeah.
right? So then they start vaping, they're doing whatever, and then the girl, hits the weed or she's got like a weed pen or
Yeah.
whatever. But then like secretly she's on Suboxone. And then next thing you know, he has been out 2 weeks. He's on Suboxone, heading to the races, stops his job because he's, chasing this woman around.
Yeah.
It's the thing. They get on Facebook, they literally see the
Yeah.
same people, the stuff's hitting them, and that's normally what I see. But definitely the housing is a huge thing, not having a solid place to live, no support system, and the job thing. But although the job thing's better, but I am a firm believer, if you want to work,
That's right.
you can work.
That's
Yeah,
right.
because you go get a job in McDonald's, or like if someone will hire you if you want. Now you may not, it may not be, you may have an ego thing where you don't feel like that job's good enough for you, or they're not.
Yeah.
There's stuff like that, and you're like, oh, I'm not going to do that. But if you really want to work, you can get you a job. I guarantee you.
That's a great segue into my next question about the mindset shifts and what you feel is necessary. And just to jump in really quick,
Yeah,
that's one of the things that I experienced too. When you're supposed to be programming, but what do you do when the programming ain't programming? You know what I mean? Like they have so-called classes that you're supposed to attend, but you go in there and they just give you a pamphlet, or give you a PDF to
yeah,
fill out. Like, I'm struggling with addiction. A piece of paper
yeah,
is not gonna help me with that. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So yeah, I definitely could feel you on that one, But what are some things you think about or mindset shift are that are necessary?
It's funny you said that because like I'm actually having a mindset shift. I've had one recently, so I went through like some dark times in my life. I'm just now coming out of them financially. I left the freight brokerage where I was making, really good money at. God had told me to leave that place a long time ago. I didn't want to leave because I was scared of what was going to happen.
Yeah,
So I ended up quitting, but I had no money coming in other than like I was selling my freight broker course, so that kind of kept me afloat. I have
yeah,
a digital course, whatever that was keeping me afloat, but I didn't have no money coming in. I was smoking heavy weed, and then I was feeling bad because I was smoking weed, so I'm smoking more weed on top of that. And I had a brand new truck. I've had a brand new car since I've been out of prison for the most
yeah,
part. I mean, there was like a time when I rode my bike and stuff like that, but I've had really nice vehicles. I've had 6 vehicles since I've been out of prison,
yeah,
so I couldn't afford my truck. Ended up having to give it back. Like there was a lot of different stuff, but the main mindset shift was I had to kill my ego, right? Because what I was
yeah,
doing
right,
is I'm putting myself way ahead of in my mind, way where I'm at, really where I'm at, and where in my mind I'm supposed to be at. So I'm like, I got a brand new truck that I couldn't afford, right? In the long, not in the begin, like in the short term, I could afford it, right? But I'm not
yeah,
thinking long term, like, but I'm not at a brand new truck level as bad as I want to.
yeah,
feel like I am, and I've worked my butt off, but I'm not at that level, right? And God had to literally like, boy, you need to kill your ego. And it's like because the ego is killing me, right? Because the truck is like, and I'm just gonna keep reverting back to the truck, but it just because it's the easy.
Yeah.
There's many factors in my life with this ego crap is
Yeah.
threaded through, but
Yeah.
definitely the truck is like an easy one to pinpoint because it's not producing me any income.
That's right.
It's not getting me any type of women. Nobody really gives a damn that I got a truck. My payment's $1,500 a month. That's insurance and everything included.
Yeah.
Like everything about the truck is just horrible.
Yeah.
And but in my ego, my pride, I want to for people to see me
Yeah.
as successful, right? But I'm really not even that successful yet. Like, have I worked my butt off? Yeah, of course. But am I at a spot where I can like literally afford a truck? No. Like, what the
Yeah.
heck, bro? I'm in an apartment. I got a nice apartment. I got my son. I take care of my son and stuff. Bills are paid, but I'm not at like a brand new truck level.
Yeah.
And and that was like the huge thing. It was because like it's the ego. Like when I first got out of prison, I was okay riding a bike. I got on the bike. I just did everything. It was like okay, but then somehow I lost sight of my where I really was,
Yeah.
and I just got on this trip. And a lot of it had to do with social media. I'm comparing myself to others, but you don't even know what that person went through, or if that's even real. Half the time, it's
Right.
not even real. You know what I'm saying? They're just putting their homeboy like, and not saying everybody's like that, but they rentals and stuff like that. And I'm like comparing myself to this facade of the high points of everybody's life,
Yeah.
not knowing where they went through, and I'm jumping ahead of where I really am. And if I were to just stay because I've spent lots of money, like just even with the car dealership, I should have done market research. I should have done a lot of different things, but the reason I started the dealership is because in like after it's I when it was all said and done, I broke it down. Like the reason I started a dealership is because I wanted people to see me as successful.
Yeah.
Because there's a million businesses I could have started that would have been way less money.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I just like I would have never done that in a million years. Like there was no now where I'm at now with growth. I would have never done that. It's freaking
Yeah.
crazy. It doesn't even make sense. But it
Right.
was all an ego thing. I want people to see me as other. But if you just kill the ego, ride the stinking bike. If you got to ride a bike, bro, like who cares if you got to ride a beater car? As long as the sucker drives,
Right.
it's got cold AC. Your house doesn't got to be nice. Like literally get to the point where you
Yeah.
could afford the big things instead of just jumping ahead because we wanted to jump ahead. And so, like, killing the ego is probably the biggest mindset shift I have
Yeah.
had in my life. And it's helped me out. It took me a long time. I've been out almost 6 years. It took me about 6 years to learn that one. Yeah.
Well, man, that I'm vibing with everything that you're talking about, like, cause I feel the same way, especially when I got to a certain level, and then come back literally started from ground zero. And
Yeah.
oh my gosh, when I tell you the type of torment that I put on myself, you know what I'm saying,
Yes.
in my head, because who do I think I am anyway? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
who are you, bro? Like,
Yeah.
I don't care if you
Yeah.
have a million freaking followers. Are they
Yeah.
following you to Jesus? Like, who are you? You know what I'm saying? Like, I had
Yeah.
that come to Jesus conversation with myself. Like, bro, get your own way, And when I stopped putting so much focus on 'cause my whole life, I've always done what I had to do. I had my first child when I was 16, so I've been hustling since before then, but definitely after I had my kid, then 2 years later, another one came, and 4 years later, another one came, so I've always just did what I had to do instead of actually having a moment to figure out what is it I want to do and then take off from there. I've always been a person to give good advice and support and help others. And people been telling me for years, you need to do a podcast, you need to do a podcast, you need to be a speaker. I'm like, that's not my thing. So now coming back to ground zero,
Yeah. Yeah.
what do I have to lose? And I'm finding it's like breathing, like it's so much easier for me to do this because it's my niche, and that's what God had to show me. Like, this is what I called you to do. Maybe not necessarily the podcast, but to talk to people and give them hope,
Mm,
inspire them, and bring
mm,
community and connect people. Like my guests have all, afterwards, we talk and I'm like, oh, I know such and such, and they can help you with that. Or, oh, I know this person. Oh, they in your same state. Let me connect you. So like I've always done that just naturally. And then now, that's why they say just find out what you love to do, what you like to do, and what's natural. The money will come later. You know what I'm saying? The money will always come, and it will come so you won't even expect it, because you're so focused on just really working in your gifts and your talents. And that's what God calls us to do, is to be a support and be a beacon of hope. And that's what you're definitely doing to your audience, And so everything that your heart's desire, because let me just throw this in. What your heart desires when you're following Christ is already what he wants you to have. That's why you're desiring it.
Yeah.
He already wants you to have it. He just wants you to have it the right way. You know what I'm saying? Not have to look over your shoulder and have to be stressing and make a decision with darn near $10 a gallon gas, if you're gonna feed your kid or put gas in your truck. You know what I'm saying? Like he's like, he wants you to have life and more abundantly and have it with peace. Like you should be able to have your truck, spend time with your kid, go on vacation, and not even blink an eye because you didn't even touch that bank account. All of that
Hmm.
out of a separate bank account. So that's what I love about trucking and I'm so passionate about because anyone coming home, I teach freight dispatching. So that's an ideal industry because one, you may not have the transportation to get back and forth, or you might be on parole or probation or home confinement and you can't get out. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I love about this opportunity to use my learning, not my losses, my learnings to teach others how to position themselves and do it the correct way from start to finish. So that's my segue into for me to dig in and get some of your expertise about freight brokering. So what exactly is freight brokering? Can you break that down for anybody that's watching?
Yeah, yeah. So freight, okay. So you got freight agents and freight brokers. So an agent is somebody who works for a freight brokerage, and then a freight broker would be someone who has a broker authority for himself. I use the word freight broker all the time because it's more catchy. It's more like palatable for social media audiences, but the freight agent is like working for somebody's freight brokers. But in essence, you're connecting a trucker with a shipper.
Mhm.
So shippers could be businesses, it could be people. People have to ship things. I ship heavy machinery, containers, things of that nature, but there's all kinds of different lanes of freight. There's food, anything that is in America or anywhere for that fact has to get there on a truck. Like it doesn't matter. It's going to be a truck is going to sell your food, Walmart, Kmart, everything is whatever they have there is shipped on a truck. And there is a broker slash brokerage in the middle of that truck and that customer. So whenever they want to ship something, you got to have a truck pick it up, and then there's a middleman in the middle. And there, depending on how you work it, you could make a nice, handsome cut out of being able to. But the reason is because the trucker is not can't handle all the craziness that comes with the logistics of the load. So
Yeah.
if a customer wants to ship, he's customers are like they get in depth with you is probably the best word. Like, where's my stuff? What's this? What this is happening with this, and then this is the weight, and then it's really not the weight, and this is the height, and it's really not the height, and there's so
Right.
much going on that the trucker just needs to drive.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's a multifaceted thing because you got the dispatcher, what you do. So dispatcher, you're making sure the truck doesn't stop driving and picking up loads and making the trucker money. And then the trucker could just focus on driving because
Yeah.
if he's driving, he can't be on the phone with so it's like a lot of different moving pieces. But in essence, the broker is the guy in the middle that is relaying the messages, for a simpler term, from the customer to the driver and well to the dispatcher, but I mean that'd be the driver because you're part of his team. So
Right.
basically you got the customer, broker, dispatcher, trucker.
Right. Right. So let me ask you this. Now, I know this is just this is a myth that's floating around there. I know the answer because I teach
Okay.
compliance, and I teach FMCSA's way. But what What do you think about dispatchers that are bypassing the brokers and they're doing the connections as an independent dispatcher, not representing a carrier or owner operator, but they're representing their dispatching company and they're reaching out to the customers, whether it's a manufacturer or a shipper? What do you think about that whole process?
So they don't have they're not working for a trucking company? So I mean, but they don't have like a broker authority or nothing like that?
Nope.
So it's kinda like double brokering. It's kinda in that, like, gray area. I don't know if that's even legal. I don't even know if you could do that because I know you have to have a broker authority. Now, there's companies that are brokers and dispatchers, but they would have to, like but you would still have to have a truck because otherwise, if you're so yeah, I don't yeah, it seems kinda illegal to me. I don't know if you could I mean, you might be able to do it, might be a gray area, but I don't, it sounds yeah.
It's
Sounds like a
absolutely
nightmare.
illegal. And the reason why I brought that up is because you have some individuals that teach freight dispatching that you can contact the manufacturer or shippers and you just use somebody's authority, but you're not
Yeah,
using their
no, that's
authority.
illegal, but that's
Yeah.
like double brokering. Yeah, that's definitely illegal. You have to have a broker authority. You have to, and now it's not hard to get a broker authority where I'm not, it's not a license or nothing. Basically, you just got to pay some money. There's certain areas you got to do, like anybody could get a broker authority, but no, that you can't do that. That's illegal right there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
fraud. That's why there's so much fraud in the transport. There's so much fraud in the transport industry. It'll blow your mind. People trying to steal freight, trying to steal cars, trying to steal what is double brokering. They're getting a load from you and they're passing it off to somebody else. And
Yeah.
like you don't even well, that's definitely illegal. That sounds illegal.
Yep. I've been wanting to get a broker someone in that field of brokering just to ask that question
Oh,
because
so there's people out there, these gurus teaching that stuff or something, right? I bet.
yeah.
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 Oh, that
It's
sounds
one yeah, it's one person in particular that, she's done it for a long period of time. I even bought the course and then once I started studying, because I'm heavy on compliance. Like I want to know what you're not supposed to do, and then I can take off from there. No matter
yeah.
what I do. If I know what you're not supposed to do, then I will avoid what you're not supposed to do and I'll make my own way from there.
Yeah,
Right?
100%. Yeah, if you move freight, you have to have a broker authority. That's why if
You
you're
have to have
making
your
money,
own broker authority. Can't be
yeah,
using a random carrier's authority and you're not actually using them because
no, that's
what
illegal.
some of these people were doing was going on to the FMCSA Safer where you can get the
Yeah,
list of the
s-
new
yeah.
authorities and they would just get an authority. And so you're calling a shipper and you're just saying, hey, I'm calling and they ask for, your authority and you give this number, but you
Oh,
working with this person, right?
no,
So
yeah,
yeah.
that's definitely fraud right there. Yeah, you can't.
It is, but, I wanted to put that out there. If you think
Yeah, you
about it,
can't.
please go to the FMCSA, which is now as Modus. You can go to the
Yeah,
Modus website, and you can read it for yourself and know that that is absolutely illegal. You cannot do that.
yeah, you
You're a
can't
freight
do that.
dispatcher, you are part of that carrier's business. So when you're calling
Yes.
talking to a broker or if that carrier wants you to 'cause a carrier can call and talk to a shipper or manufacturer directly and
Oh, they got they're the trucker. They don't even you don't necessarily need the broker, but the broker if you're a driver, but the broker is mediates all the there's a especially with like heavy haul and freight, like heavy machinery, you need a broker because there's so much crap that's going on. Like stuff is like with permits
yeah,
pilot cars,
yeah,
permit. I mean, you name it. There's like a list of all this stuff going on that it would be impossible for a driver to focus on driving and to that's why you need the broker.
yeah,
And of course there's scumbag brokers, but like a true broker, I like to pay my drivers and I pay them extremely well because they go above and beyond if you pay them good. So if you pay them where they're making money and they can feed their family, they're happy. So if something goes wrong, they're going to take care of it. They're like,
yeah,
you build a
yeah,
relationship where everybody's happy. Well, I don't want to try to freaking nickel and dime somebody because
right.
that's when bad stuff starts happening. You nickel and dime somebody, he just wants to get it off his stinking truck. He don't care.
Yeah,
It's just bad. So yeah,
yeah,
no, but you definitely need brokers in a lot of aspects. Not all the time. Like if you're just like a hot shot carrier and you're carrying little stuff like that, you probably don't need a broker, but you dispatchers are mandatory because you got to have a dispatcher Whether you because the dispatcher is super important because the dispatcher does not stop. He keeps the truck running. So he's already you're negotiating on his you okay, we're going from Florida to Arizona and then from Arizona to Washington from what and you're keeping them moving. So
Yeah,
dispatchers are extremely vital in the industry and yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. So as of say if I started my freight brokerage this month, right?
Okay.
How much could I say realistically within 60 to 90 days after purchasing your course, of course, because you are the plug. After purchasing your course, how much do you think I could actually make within the first 60 to 90 days?
Oh, honestly, it would depend on how hard you're willing to work. You could possibly make no money if you're not willing to put in the work. You have to put in the work. So, and when I mean my work, initially you're gonna have to cold call people.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to get, I suggest free game right here. Me personally, I put in container transport. I work in small cities first. So I would go to like, for instance, Tampa. So I'd container transport of Tampa or container companies of Tampa. And I would call and it's going to give you a list or hit chat GPT up, but give you a list of all the container companies. And then you just hit them up, hit them up, hit them up. And hey, this is Nathan with X services. I have rollback and land all services available to you if you guys ever need to transport a container. If not, that's okay too. And you just keep moving like that. You will get people. You have to make it where people want, like you're actually beneficial to somebody. So you don't want to, you're not gonna call, you want to be beneficial. You want to actually help. If you want to help people, people feel that you want to help them. If you are willing to put in the work and cold call, depending on what your niche is, there's so many niches that it's kind of hard to, but let's say I teach people to start with containers and mobile homes because containers and mobile homes, they're first off, there's millions of containers. They're coming in from ports all over. Okay.
Right,
Containers are
right.
super easy to move, and you could call them, there's millions of container companies and
Yeah.
people need containers transported. And a lot of the companies that, for instance, they sell empty containers, but people want loaded containers moved. So they buy the container, the company will drop them off, and then they'll load them and won't have nobody to move because loaded containers are really high liability. So nobody will move loaded containers. So if you call the container companies, and I've had multiple, one of my best customers is a cold call. They move all kinds of stuff, and it's not even them that move them. It's a container company. They sell the container, and then the people will say, "Hey, I need my loaded container. I'm buying the container from you brand new." And then that company drops it off and then the customer loads it and then they don't have nobody to transport a loaded container. And the company that sells the container don't even want to mess with it because it's so high liability that they just give me the customer. Like, here, call Nathan. He's moved plenty of containers.
Right.
And you will literally find a million companies that want to transport containers. And that's the best way I say to start. Literally, you're gonna, of course, you're gonna hit spikes. You're gonna hit some our loads are gonna be more money than the other, depending on how far. But I mean, you could easily you could probably make $1,000 for every loaded container you move. Easy. That's
Yay.
not even $1,000. And then, but like with the mobile homes, so I teach people too how to transport mobile homes off Facebook Marketplace. People are selling mobile homes on Facebook Marketplace, and all you do is you hit them up. Hey, this is Nathan. I could transport this mobile home for you. If you need anybody to transport it, I can help you. And if not, hey, we part ways as friends. Not a big deal. You won't believe how many people say, "I would love that." Hey, or you say, "Hey, hit 'em on Marketplace. Hey, if you find a buyer for that mobile home, I could transport it for you. I'll give you a quick quote if you want to, put the quote in for the buyer." Because people be hitting them up, "Hey, how much for this mobile home?" Well, how do we get it here? So we say, "Well, I
Right.
got this guy right here." So what they do is they'll hit you. So the owner of the mobile home, he's literally hitting you up for quotes from multiple people trying to
Mm,
buy the home. And
mm.
you'll kill him like that because guess what? The minute he sells that home, you're gonna be the one he goes through because you've already been quoting him so many times. And it's kind of like time, but mobile home, you'll make 5 grand easy. You make profit. I'm not saying like I'm saying you paid the driver, you paid everything. You'll take away $5,000 in your pocket. You move a mobile home.
Wow.
And the
Free
whole thing about
game. Free game.
yeah, no, there's a lot of money in mobile homes, and all you literally have to do is you got to know how to quote it. The whole game is quoting. If you don't know how to quote, then you have to be able to quote it. But you quote it right, and then you call a mobile home transport company and have them move it. But a lot of times let me just put you all in game real quick. Okay. So with the mobile home, so you call a mobile home company, you get them to prep the home. Okay. So you call a local mobile home company. Hey, it's going to need axles, tires. Most of the time, is there a tongue? Is there not a tongue? I mean, there's like little questions you got to ask. But boom. So you call a company, you get a quote. I already know. I mean, I've been doing this so long. I know how to quote a customer for like the prep and everything. But let's just say, for the most part, on average, your prep work is going to cost about $2,500, as long as there's no axle. As long as if you have to add axles to the home, is different. But let's say your prep work on average $2,500, and then you're going to have the setup of the home. Yes, let's say it's a single wide, not double wide. So you got a setup too. So you're looking at about another $2,500. So it's $5,000 off top, and then X amount of miles you quote. But here's the great part. So you call a local company to prep the home. Say we're moving, for the easiness of it, we're moving from Florida to Georgia. So you call a Florida company to prep the home, and then you call wherever they're going in Georgia company to set the home.
Yeah.
And then you just post that sucker up on Truck Stop or DAT board for a power only with a adjustable ball hitch, because semis have adjustable ball hitches on.
Yeah.
So you don't even need a mobile home mover. You'll catch a semi. Now you're going to probably have to pay, looking probably depending on how wide it is, because there's permits and pilot cars and everything. But
Right,
as
right.
far as probably looking at about $8-9 a mile, maybe $10 a mile, plus the 2,500 for the prep, 2,500 for the setup, $10 a mile, and then however much your permits and pilot cars are. But you could literally post it on Truck Stop and somebody will pick it up, because semis can transport mobile homes because people think you need a mobile home mover, which you kind of do. But these dudes have been in the game so long, they have adjustable ball hitches and they can carry a mobile home. So you could that's how you move mobile homes super easy. Make 5, 10. I've made $12,000 on a mobile home for.
Sheesh.
That's a double wide now. It's a double wide now. So
Oh,
but no,
double. Okay.
I'm talking about. I'm not saying like. I'm not even saying like. I'm not saying like I paid the driver and I still had $12,000. I had to split it with the brokerage I was at. So it's not like I took in $12,000. I took in like $6,000 because we have to do like a 50-50 thing.
Yeah.
But mobile homes are super easy.
That was amazing. You broke that bad boy down.
Oh, so I probably sounded complicated. I figured like a Facebook Marketplace for mobile homes. I would start on Facebook Marketplace for mobile homes, and all you got to do is hit the people up selling the home. Hey, if you find somebody that wants to buy the home, I'll give them a quote for transport. And I get people. I've never had that fail, because who wouldn't want a quote? I'm helping you sell the home,
Right.
and that's kind of where I was going with the whole thing. You want to help people. You don't want to. It's not in it for you, it's in it for me. And someone's selling their home, their mobile home needs to sell, and they love you for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I know we gotta wrap it up really quick. So I have this section that I'm trying out, and it's called lightning round, right? So I'm gonna fire off
Okay.
one word or the other, and you're just gonna say which
All right.
one it is, and then we'll go from there. Ready?
All right. Let's do it. Yeah.
All right. Books or podcasts?
Books.
Employee or entrepreneur?
Entrepreneur.
Phone calls?
Phone call.
Okay. Biggest business mistake?
Dropping a lot of money into a industry that I knew nothing about.
Best business decision?
Trusting God. That's real though. I ain't joking. Like, God has made this business thing work the whole time. If you don't, you need to try it. I'm telling you.
Okay. One word that describes your journey.
Hard.
Wait, that's a truth. What
Hard.
does success mean to you today?
Say
What does success mean to you today?
peace.
Woo! Telling you. That need to be on a t-shirt.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
100%.
one final question for you before I let you
All
go.
right.
If you could speak directly to someone sitting in a prison cell right now who believes that their life is over, what would you say to them?
It's never over till you're dead. I've been in the position where I felt like my life was over a million times. And as long as you don't give up, you can find peace anywhere. I found peace in a cell. It sounds crazy, but I've had more peace in a prison cell than sometimes outside. And I'm not saying you're not missing anything, because you got kids, and I know you got kids,
Yeah.
but just your home is what you make it. You
Yeah,
could literally, if you get right, with God, you're always right with God. But if you get back in touch with God, He can do things that you never even imagined, and just you could get your kids back. I don't know where that came from, but like if you're worrying about your kids or whatever, I promise you, you can get them back no matter what it looks like. I got my kids back against all odds and hopes, and just never, if you don't give, you can't fail unless you give up. And if you don't give up, you can never fail.
that's right. I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, oh man, we're definitely gonna have to do a part two.
Let's do it. I was gonna say to the word, let's do it again, man.
We
Let's
know
do
we
it
gotta
again.
do a part 2, man. This was
Let's do it.
amazing. You are a wealth of knowledge. I appreciate you and being successful as a single parent, not letting the odds hold you back. You know, this is bigger than what you could ever believe because your baby is watching you. So you're
Yeah.
planting those seeds already. You're already showing him what it takes to be a man. Even when everyone comes against you, you know, as a man, you have to depend on the man, and he's watching that. He might not
Man.
say it now, but he's seeing
Yeah.
it. He's seeing
Yeah.
it, you know? So my hat is off to you, man. I appreciate you so very much.
I appreciate you. I love this. This is way better than I expected, honestly. I'm so glad you reached out to me. And if you, man, if you guys are watching this podcast, you need to keep watching, because it's
Thank
gonna just get
so
better
much.
and better.
Thank you so much. So for anyone that's interested in getting in your amazing brokerage training, or if they need to reach out to you for mentorship or, you know, just support in the space at all, how can they find you? How can they reach you?
Felon Entrepreneur on all channels. Check out my YouTube for full length videos. Just dropped how to fix your credit after prison, how to get business loans after prison. It's all on my YouTube. Felon Entrepreneur on Instagram, all that. You can DM me. I'm here. I try to answer all my DMs and stuff. It gets hard sometimes because I get a lot of DMs and stuff, but I do try to answer them. And got a mentorship and all that. But if not, I just put out free knowledge anyways. I just charge just for my time. Honestly, it's pretty cheap. But I'm there on all channels, and I try to answer. Man, I'm here for everybody. I just want to help everybody share my story.
Well, I appreciate you one more time for coming on. And this has been an amazing interview,
Yeah.
amazing episode. One more time, thank you, Nathan, for coming on. You have been watching UTL Trucking Education Hub. If you like the content that I'm putting on here, if you enjoy our amazing guests like Nathan, then make sure you're hitting that like, that subscribe, and that you click on that notification. My final
Hit
thought,
that like.
hit that
Hit that
like.
like. Subscribe. Let's go.
Yes, yes, yes. You can make excuses or you can make progress, but you usually can't make both. Now that's the trucking truth. Till next time.
I appreciate you.